My name is Colleen Stewart, and I'm a social work case manager with Vancouver Coastal Health.
And I'm Sherilyn Calliou. I'm a member of the Michelle Band.
What is the impact of violence and abuse on First Nations families and communities, especially where Native elder women are concerned?
I think there are two kinds of violence. There is a link between internalized racism, which is an inheritance of possibly attending on their own, residential school or not. And there is an intergenerational legacy of violence and abuse. I remember an elderly Aboriginal woman. She asked me once, she said, go and buy me those Centrum vitamins. And she gave me all this money. And even I looked at it and went, this is too much for vitamins. So I bring it back and and I say, here's the bill, here's your change. She goes, I never got any change before. She looked at the bill and she says to me, were they on sale? Well, her niece had been going to buy them and taking the whole thing. That's abuse. And it's those tiny little things. We think of abuse as domestic abuse, which has become very Hollywood. And where do those elderly women have a voice? Because they haven't been taught, or to speak up to authority, and that goes back to residential school. To speak up means violence. You're going to get hit. We have to start teaching how people can actually ask those questions that have become so commonplace now. Are you safe? Are you being abused? Helping older women to self-identify situations of abuse and say, no, you can't do that. It's not right. And feeling the safety of being able to say that. How are we going to change generations if we don't learn how to say it for ourselves and tell our own people when what you're doing to me is wrong? You can't do that.
And I think what I hear when you say that is that Native elder women especially, because of their experience in residential school and other settings, abuse settings, is that they don't have a voice.
Yeah.
And if they try to have a voice, in the past it meant being punished.
Yeah.
And so how do you tell somebody that it's okay? Now you do have a voice and it's okay, nobody's going to punish you. That's a big, it's a big transition to make.
Self-government begins when you get up in the morning, when you wake up in the morning, and whether or not you decide to get out of bed, that is self-government. But we have sustained centuries of not being nurtured, taught, role modeled, coached for that level of self-government, for that level of autonomy. So I understand that woman's fear, because with her mother or her grandmother before her, or residential school, the priest telling her to stay in an abusive marriage. I mean, we have all kinds of agents that did not teach her how to be an autonomous woman, willing to put up a roadblock once in a while because it's scary, because something might happen to me. Because nobody told me it's okay to be aggressive, assertive. Are these women's words? Loud. To say no, 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 no. So unless we have role models in our community or coaches who can assess the ability of an individual, can you think in a day where a health professional assists us to be autonomous and says, you know what? Let me help you be autonomous. Let me help you be self-governing. No, what do they usually say? They say, well, if you're going to have self-government, you better tell me what it is first. I'm waiting. Tell me.
I mean, just that comment is just, it's just making me think, you know, when you talk about autonomy, being the moment that you decide to get out of bed, when I hear the word being autonomous, it's really loving yourself. And it's something that we don't know how to do. And so then if you have a healthcare professional saying to you, tell me what self-government is. It's loving yourself and being able to take that step
Yeah.
of making good choices for yourself.
Yeah.
But that's so easy to say and so hard to live.
Yeah. Especially
So,
when we haven't had generations of somebody standing beside us saying however it needs to be heard. And that kind of mentorship. Where are we going to get that? From a whole bunch of priests and nuns, MLAs, MPs, specialists? Are there going to be self-government specialists who come around to help us now and say, here's 5 ways to be self-governing? No. I think the Guardianship Act is really going to be important. It's hard enough to be fully capable. And to wake up some mornings and go, I've got to be really courageous. I have to be self-governing today. I think it's important that we are also not so afraid to say to each other, are you safe? That's the question. That is the question that people will most often answer. Are you safe? Because it makes you think. Are you safe today? And if they say yes, they are, then you ask tomorrow, are you safe today? Because every day is an opportunity for this kind of exploitation.
and it just makes me think that the roots go very deep,
Yeah.
because it can start, like you say, at 14 or 15, and that person in 50 or 60 or 70 years is now they're a Native elder woman who, somehow through life has not been given that opportunity to have a voice, that opportunity to have the autonomy.